Dillian the Body Snatcher right here. It's a champ. Big up to Sporting Icon. Subscribe. Otherwise, I might pay you guys a visit.
Right, the Body Snatcher, Dillian Whyte, who is, of course, the #1 ranked WBC guy, and yet not mandatory because the WBC are messing around and want to make Dominic Brazil the mandatory and are trying to enforce Dillian Whyte to take on Luis Ortiz as the second mandatory. So if he would take on Luis Ortiz, he would then become mandatory for a fight maybe mid to late 2019. So the other option that he has is Kubrat Pulev. Now Kubrat Pulev was supposed to take on Anthony Joshua when Carlos Takam did, as he was the IBF mandatory, and what's happened then was he got injured. Now all the way up leading to that, he was complaining, didn't really want the fight, turned it down many times, but then when he was forced as a mandatory, he kept saying, well, there's not enough time, I'm not aware that we were supposed to fight here, and eventually he ended up pulling out through injury, right? Incidentally. Now, of course, I'm not saying he wasn't injured, but the whole thing is suspect. So Dillian Whyte and Kubrat Pulev has been ordered by the IBF to become the official mandatory. And Dillian Whyte has said this about Pulev. Pulev doesn't want to fight. He gets in these positions to fight mandatories or gets these eliminators and doesn't want to fight. I think he was hoping that I said I was going to go for Luis Ortiz and then he could fight Alexander Dimitrenko, which was the next one down. He's just wasting time. It's a straightforward fight. The winner gets a crack at the Big Apple. I'm up for the fight. He said he's up for the fight. He said I'm the perfect opponent for him. Well, for some reason, him and his promoter, Kelly Sowland, are taking long. I hate heavyweight boxing. It's full of cowards. Well, the purse bid is this Thursday, so regardless, either way, we'll find out in the next couple of days what's going on or whether Pulev is man enough to take the fight or not. Hopefully, we can reach some sort of a deal and get it arranged and get it done because the date is already penciled in, July 28th. The IBF seem to be quite strict with their mandatories. I'm still pursuing the WBC route, but there seems to be some sort of nonsense going on there. So everything is up in the air at the minute. I'm just waiting to see what's going on with the WBC. Hopefully the WBC order me to fight Brazil in a final eliminator. So that is Dillian Whyte's statement. So he's in a good position where he can go and fight for the WBC or go fight for the IBF, as in eliminators to become the mandatories. Now, that's all great, but he's between a rock and a hard place as well, because it does seem that WBC are taking a long time to come up with a fair decision right now, because they're saying that Dominic Brazil is the mandatory, even though he's ranked #2 and never did anything to become the mandatory. And Eddie Hearn, Dillian Whyte, and the press have official confirmation from Mauricio Suleiman, the WBC president, that Dominic Brazil would not be the mandatory if he was to beat Eric Molina, who subsequently failed a PED test recently. So, isn't it strange that they are just stalling for time, the WBC? Now, what is wrong with making Brazil versus Whyte as a final eliminator? Okay? Or if Wilder really wants to fight Brazil, which apparently he's already got a date penciled in, just make it that it's not his mandatory, it's a voluntary. Then Luis Ortiz versus Dillian Whyte could be for the official mandatory. What's wrong with that? I don't understand. Now, of course, if Dillian Whyte does fight Luis Ortiz, which, for me, I would love him to, but the WBC are just not going to sort it out. What they want him to do is go fight Pulev for the IBF and then say, oh, well, too late. Luis Ortiz, you're going to fight Joseph Parker for the second mandatory, and Dominic Brazil, you are, in fact, the mandatory. So that's their escape route. Likewise with Kubrat Pulev, he wants Dillian Whyte to say, okay, Luis Ortiz, and then he can get an easy pass to become the mandatory by fighting Dimitrenko, which he would destroy Dimitrenko, no doubt about it. So, which one does he do? Whichever one he chooses, he has to sacrifice the other one. Him taking on Pulev means he's going to pull himself out of the WBC, even though he's worked very hard to do so. If he does fight Luis Ortiz, he's not going to get a WBC title shot for at least a year and a half, right? So, as I said, he's between a rock and a hard place. Now, he is right about Pulev. Pulev, all the way up to the Joshua, negotiations when he was mandatory. Well, my promoter Sauerland, they're not telling me what's going on. I'm unaware of this date, even though we, the fans, and everybody else in the whole world knew what the date was, but yet he didn't. Unbelievable, right? And on this time, he's saying that, again, he's unaware of everything with regards to Dillian Whyte. He doesn't know anything about what's going on, and yet blaming his promoter Sauerland again. I don't know what's happened to him. I think that loss to Vladimir Klitschko has really affected him psychologically. He's a very good boxer. He's very dangerous. He's world class, no doubt about it, but he seems to lack that little bit of heart. I mean, if he was serious and really wanted to become the IBF mandatory again, then surely he would be snapping at the heels of Sauerland, his promoters, and Eddie Hearn to say, get this deal done with Dillian Whyte. But he doesn't want that one. So which way does Dillian Whyte go? Does he go for WBC, even though that they are messing around? Because if he did fight Luis Ortiz, the WBC will say, oh, well, you accepted our offer of fighting Luis Ortiz to be the mandatory, the secondary mandatory, so therefore you have signed that, so Dominic Brazil is the mandatory. If he was to wait, then he's going to lose out on the opportunity to be the IBF mandatory. Do you see the situation that he's in? But purse bids is going to be this Thursday. I thought the purse bids were like last week or so, but I don't know what's going on. It seems that Dillian Whyte is being protected, or being protected from, with regards to Deontay Wilder, as in the WBC don't want Dillian Whyte fighting Deontay Wilder, hence the reason why they won't make him the official mandatory, because they know Dillian Whyte will smash him to bits. So what they're hoping is going to happen is that Wilder fights Anthony Joshua, so they can put the belt around Anthony Joshua, the cash cow, the face of boxing, all that kind of thing. That's what they're hoping for. What they don't want to do is put Dillian Whyte as the mandatory, and then Eddie Hearn goes, well, actually, I promote both Joshua and Dillian Whyte, so to me it makes no difference who goes after Wilder for the WBC, because ultimately there's a very good chance that Undisputed could be in my stable anyway. So if Dillian Whyte fights Wilder, as WBC have ordered it, then sorry Joshua, I know you want to be Undisputed, but you're going to have to wait a little while, because Dillian Whyte is going to beat Deontay Wilder, and then you versus Dillian Whyte in a rematch that you both won, and it'll be for Undisputed, two British going together. That's the perfect solution, right? But the WBC will not do that. They are scared to death of Dillian Whyte. They really are. I mean, why else can you have a number one not be mandatory? He can't be, and then order him to fight Luis Ortiz, who just lost a title fight to Deontay Wilder. Yes, the whole thing was suspicious in the fight, no doubt about it, but still, officially, he lost the fight. So he should be dropped right the way down the rankings. Okay? So, anyway, be interesting to see which one he does. It does look like it's going to be Pulev, because the WBC are not going to make any kind of ruling anytime soon. This is what the WBC want. They want him to fight Pulev so they can fulfill their promise to Brazil, even though they told everybody else Brazil will not be the mandatory. Do you see the situation? Anyway, drop your thoughts below, click that thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.